Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another paranormal podcast. You're listening to Matt on the Deep Woods Paranormal Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about a couple of things. The most popular things out there seems like ghosts and Bigfoot. So, what I wanted to talk about with ghosts, everybody asked me, look at this little girl behind me if you're watching this video wise. How's the doll? Are you still having activity? Have you had anything strange happen? Have you seen anything? Have you documented anything? Up on this shelf over here in the corner, you can't see it in this video, but there's actually a home security camera that is trained on her and basically watches her 24/7 like a hawk. I know that's kind of creepy, but if she decides to get up and jump off that little platform she's on, I want to know about it before she gets to my room or wherever I'm at in the house. So, likelihood of that happening is like slim to none. But her attachment does seem to move around the house quite a bit. About a week ago, Amanda and I both had some strange experiences. So I was sitting in the living room, which actually just kind of you can see right down the hall into the office. And the office door, there was this thing, just this almost. If you've ever seen the movie Predator, it almost looks like that without all the 3D effects. It's just a clear silhouette of what looks like a person standing in the doorway. And I looked at it, and normally they just go and disappear. But for some reason, this thing, here, I'll just turn this a little tiny bit. So you can see the door on my left, probably your right, if you're watching this video. So essentially, the door in this office is always left open. I don't mind if the cats come in here or the dogs come in here. They don't really do much. But I always make sure it's wide open. So essentially, if you can see right here, I should probably go grab them. Or if you're listening, we have a pair of spectacles. And these are for theaters. They used them in the theaters, a long time ago. And essentially, what we do, we think they're haunted. We think they have some kind of attachment to them. We're not sure if this entity is attached to the doll, which is right here if you're watching visually. The dragon, which is basically some kind of a wood carving that somebody made. It's just a piece of art, but we picked it up from somebody's house who had perished, unfortunately. And then there's spectacles, which we got in a said to be haunted place. And essentially, we think that there's something try the skin. We think there might be something attached to them as well. A lot of things in this office probably have some kind of attachment. Most of it, I would say 90% of it is dormant. It doesn't act or do anything in the house. Our house is extremely quiet, usually, as far as ghostly activity goes. There's not a lot of activity happening, which is nice. It's kind of nice to come home to a location where there's no activity, because we've lived in multiple homes, if you listen back to our older podcasts, where we've had all kinds of crazy activity. And living with somebody unseen or somebody's unseen is pretty interesting, if you will. So, especially when they're not so nice and they're a negative entity. All right. So, you're asking, okay, what exactly has happened? What did you guys experience? So, like I said, I saw the silhouette in the door multiple times. The first time I saw it, this happened over a week's time. First time I saw it, it was a black silhouette. Tall, long, skinny entity. It looked like a female. Didn't tell Amanda. Just kind of kept it to myself. And it seems like every night she would come over and stand on the door till I saw her. She would stand there and then basically, walk back over right here, right? If you're watching the video podcast, standing right in front of where that table is, essentially, with the doll and everything on it. So I got up and walked in here one day, and basically almost ran right into her. I didn't even see her until I got almost on her. She was standing in the doorway, and I put my hand out, and I got this staticky electricity, which was kind of cool. You'd think if you were going to run into a ghost, that's kind of how they would be. So I had a conversation with her, a one-sided conversation. I said, "Okay, what are you attached to?" And of course, I never heard anything. There was no telepathic messages going back and forth, which I kind of wish there were, so I could figure out who she was. Um, and then essentially, I just kept asking her questions, and then finally she disappeared. Now, whoever she is, maybe she's not even attached to any of that. Maybe she's attached to a piece of gear, or she just comes here to hang out, or I don't know. I don't know who this entity is. She seems to. She finally got to the point where she wasn't being able to communicate with me in the way she wanted, I think. And so after about a week, I finally told Amanda that she showed up one night and she just looked really, she wasn't a shadow anymore. She was more clear. I could kind of see her. I could see long black hair. I could see she's a tall, skinny white lady. Couldn't make out the clothes, but I could kind of make her out. She was just a silhouette. And anyways, it's just imagine a person if you basically took all the pigment out of them and they were kind of a milky white or clear milky white substance, but in the form of human. That's basically what I saw. But I could tell for some reason, I think this time she kind of showed me what she looked like. She looked more like a rock star or something. Long black hair. I could see she had a kind of a narrow chin. Like I couldn't make out the color of her eyes. She was wearing a pair of sunglasses. She had a black dress on and knee-high boots on. So, anyways, that's the way I saw her. What's interesting about that is that same night that we had another visitor. She showed up in her bedroom, and I'm like, okay. I had gotten up to go to the bathroom, came down back and sat down, and again put my hand out. I'm like, who are you? Why are you here? And I'm like, oh, are you attached to the doll? Blah 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 blah. And she just disappeared after about 10 seconds worth of questioning, which was a long time for an entity to manifest like that. So anyways, the next night, Amanda has a dream about this lady in a theater, and essentially, she should really be telling this story. So I'm just going to generalize it, and if she wants to come on and talk about it later on, she's not feeling great tonight, so she won't be able to come on. But so essentially, she dreamed about this woman. She was in a theater, which is interesting because that's where the spectacles were. And she looked like she was either doing in some kind of a play or something. And Amanda said she basically looked at her, blew her a kiss, and then walked out the door and then disappeared in her dream. This is just in her dream. I do believe Amanda makes contact with spirits in her dreams. I think that's just how she is. She wakes me up a lot of time having a conversation. And I'm like, what the hell? And I look over and I see something, and then it disappears and she stops talking. And then I question her about it the next morning. She's like, I don't know. I don't remember. Now that makes sense because our brains don't remember dreams. Dreams are not a memory. They're just basically something that is projected through our self-conscious. And then basically at the end of the night, when you wake up, all that's gone. So very interesting that I had a visual sighting of her, and then Amanda had a dream of her. Well, I had multiple visual sightings of her, and then Amanda had a dream of her, and she blew her a kiss. And since that has happened, I've not seen her since. So I don't know, if that was her saying goodbye. Ooh, I am. If you're watching the video chat, oh my gosh, I have goosebumps all down my arms as I'm talking about this. Maybe she didn't leave. Maybe she's like right behind me. Who knows? You're welcome to stay. You seem to be a nice person, whoever you are. I enjoy talking about you and experiencing you, so you're welcome to stay. We'll have to open up another line of communication one of these days. We'll put the spirit box back in front of the doll on that table, and see who comes through. If you go anywhere else in the house, anywhere else, nothing. The spirit box just goes like it does the annoying loud tones that it makes as it's scanning through its radio frequencies. So we get very little in this house, to next to nothing with a spirit box. But you come in here and you set it down in front of the doll, and it's like, whoa, okay, hold on, slow down. Let me record this because I'm missing some stuff. I have to see what you're saying. Okay, so people also asked, how'd the haunted jail go? If you didn't know, last Friday night we were actually out at a haunted jail. I can't describe the location. I can't tell you anything about it. I've been sworn to secrecy. So at this point in time, I can tell you what happened. I've never seen anything like that. Ever, ever, ever. If you watch the live stream over on our Facebook page, Deep Woods Paranormal page, you saw what happened with the K2s. Oh my gosh. Sorry, that's little Miss Tink back there deciding to scream her little head off. So essentially, I had 8 K2s sitting out. And I'm not going to ruin this because we probably are going to put a video out with the actual jail investigation so you guys can see it. So I had 8, I think I had 6 or 8 K2s. I think 6 of them were on the table in front of trigger objects. Now you're asking, what's a trigger object? A trigger object is just something that a spirit or a ghost or whatever you want to call them, an entity, might have been fond of back in the day. And we just got invaded by a bunch of dogs. Essentially, what we do is we put these trigger objects like whiskey. We put an old bottle of whiskey. This jail was built in the 1930s and then was closed in the early 1980s. But we put a whiskey bottle out because that on the spirit box, that's one thing they asked for. So we brought whiskey. We brought cigarettes, tobacco. What else do we have? I had brought for a snack, I brought some water, and I brought, what was it, M&Ms, peanut M&Ms, and then a Twix bar. And I was going through trying to get to the water, and those things were set on top, so I set them down right in front of a K2, and they lit up like crazy. And I'm like, oh, oops, that was my snack. That was my sugar for the night. So essentially, those became trigger objects. They were very happy to see the M&Ms and the Twix bars. So essentially, I left them for them. I didn't take them. And then, what else do we have for? Let's see. I'm trying to think what else we had for trigger objects. But the bottle of water. I grabbed the bottle of water and started drinking it, and the K2s went off like crazy. And I said, okay, well, did you want water? And it lit up in response like, yes. We asked the K2s. If you don't know what a K2 meter is, a K2 meter is a very sensitive EMF detector. It just picks up energy, a very broad range of energy. And essentially what it does is it has 5 little lights on the top. Normally it just stays at 1 lit up. They're yellow. They go from yellow to red. And essentially what we do is we ask them to light those up for yes, or leave them blank, or one light for no. And we ask them yes and no questions, or something that they can light the device up. So that's what we do. And sometimes we ask them to light up a certain amount of lights or whatever. Sorry, my puppies are carrying on behind me. I guess it's playtime. But anyways, those K2s, they lit up like crazy. I have never, well, no, I take that back. Only at demonic locations have I ever seen a K2 light up all the way across, all 5 lights, and stay lit up, all of them, all 6 of them, on the table, lit up, and stay lit up, all 5 lights, for like a second or two. And all at the same time. They all went off at the same exact time, all sitting in front of these trigger objects. And I guess next time I go to any kind of old place like that, I won't put out 5 AM pumps because, man, we amplified the hell out of that place. That place didn't have any power or anything like that. So when they got that energy, they were just like a kid in a candy store. They were all excited about being able to communicate with us. They were super duper polite. They tried to answer our questions through the spirit box. As we first began, they weren't able to really do that. They were more focused on those K2s because I think they were super excited that somebody brought them gifts, which is awesome. So if you're a paranormal investigator or you're ever becoming a paranormal investigator, that's a really cool thing to do. Find out, I always say know your location. Um, find out what things might be interesting to whoever was there, whatever time frame they were there. We had a pair of handcuffs, which we just set aside because of old jail. I mean, I don't think that was really a trigger object. But they did light up all 6K2s. And then, we had a cigar. So one of the girls picks up the cigar and she puts it on top of the K2. And they had not had any hits on their K2 at all. No light ups at all. And that thing starts lighting up. I said, "Do you like the cigar?" And it lit all the way up to 5. And then basically came back and lit up to 3 every time I asked another question after that. But yeah, those spirits, whenever you go into a location, you have a 50-50 chance of getting activity. We scored 100 out of 100, which is awesome. I mean, that's very, 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 very rare that they go crazy like that. Now, we had been in there before. I was lucky enough to get one of the people that worked there and a couple other people that worked there as well to come on upstairs with me. So I wasn't alone. I didn't want to be up there by myself. Unfortunately, Amanda came down with the stomach flu last Thursday, and she's still trying to get over it, unfortunately. So I had to go by myself. Normally she would come with me. We were going to split up and, she was going to take one cell, and I was going to take another, and we were going to kind of bounce around throughout that place and see what we could do. But holy crap, footsteps. I mean, not footsteps, but boot steps. Boom, 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 boom. We could hear it. And they sounded at one point, I think I heard like what's the sound of a door, one of the jail doors close. And, I'll show you in the video if you watch our Deep Woods Paranormal show on our YouTube channel. It sounds like a door closes. And we also, through one of the home security cameras, may have gotten maybe two full body apparitions. One basically looks like it's walking towards a cell. Oh, here she comes. Oh, she's closing me out. That's okay. Just leave it open. Okay. Dogs have been banned from the office. That's the door you heard. That's my wife closing the door. That's Amanda. So essentially, I mean, then it basically looks like it turned around and it looks different. It's a different shape and stuff like that. And then it walks into a wall. And so I'm going to be blowing that up. That's just off my phone. With it being that small, even with a cell phone, I don't care. It's just too small to tell exactly what it is. So we'll go through that again and double check to make sure that wasn't one of us. But I know exactly where everybody was at that point. So unless somebody came upstairs to the jail, which I'm pretty sure didn't happen, we basically were by ourselves. So. Anyways, where's my Bigfooters out there? Got some exciting news. We are going to be returning to Joe's camp. If you've seen our Joe's, goosebumps. Something's excited about that. Somebody's standing like right behind me. It's freezing cold down my back right now. Okay, can you back off just a little bit? If you need some energy, take it from somewhere else, please. Back off. Come on, back off. It's just freezing cold all around me right now. Okay, back off. I just got goosebumps from head to toe. This is probably some kind of human spirit, something excited that I'm talking about this. All right. So if you have not watched our YouTube video of Joe's camp, we did a documentary up there. We were up there for doing research for about a year and a half. Unfortunately, our research kind of came to a close when the Bigfoot stopped responding to us. I think what was going on actually is they were going into mating season, and so from November till about now, they're quiet. I've been talking to Joe off and on over the last month. He says, Matt, they're back. They're walking through the middle of my property. He showed me some really cool pictures. Um, so he's been doing a lot of work on his property, trying to get it ready. One of the things that we had talked about doing was setting up a camp at the back of his property, back up in their territory. Because what happens is they kind of creep down through the trees, through the tree line, and then they'll come to the edge of the forest, or before the trees were cut down. I'm not going to go too much into that. If you've listened to my podcast before, you already know about that, or you can go back and listen to some of our other podcasts when I talk about Bigfoot, especially at Joe's. So essentially, he had to cut down his trees because of bark beetles, and now his land's a little bit more open. I'll quickly describe Joe's property. His property is pretty much like a football field. It's 55 acres. It's long, and it's not skinny, but it's pretty wide. But it's longer, much longer than it is wide. It's probably double the length of the width, if that makes sense. So the back left portion of his property, there's a cemetery back there. There is basically freshwater springs, and he left a lot of the trees there. After his trees were cut down, we went back up there and looked around a little bit, myself and another Amanda, not my wife Amanda, and we had a few experiences. In fact, we found a 23-inch footprint. Massive. I've already talked about that, so I'm not going to dwell on that. Anyways, so basically he's cleared out. Okay, something just moved on my desk. So he's cleared out a lot of the debris that was left after the trees were all taken down. He smoothed the area out a little bit. He's recreated the road that the Bigfoots blocked. The Bigfoots essentially blocked the road back to the back of his property, and it's just a dirt road. It's nothing special, but they pushed not small trees, big trees, large, full, 20, 30 foot trees over, oak trees. They pushed them right over onto the road, both sides, basically making a roadblock. So he's gone up there with a chainsaw, cleared that, and essentially made a road back up there. Right now, he's trying to create a bridge over one of his creeks so we can get back to the back. And like I said, one of the things we had talked about was camping on his property. So that's going to happen this coming weekend. I can't say I'm not nervous. These things would come down within about 10 feet of us or less. You couldn't reach out and touch one, but they were probably maybe 6 or 8 feet away from us. They were not shy. They would come down and cruise down and, stand behind a tree and peer around the corner. If you watch Joe's camp, you can see all the eye shot we got. It was the craziest thing. You'd sit there and on the view, you couldn't see them without an infrared device. We now have night vision binoculars that record video, and it has excellent night vision. We also have a couple different types of night vision binoculars that also record, and then we also have another pair of binoculars that are also very, very good. They're Norwegian military grade night vision binoculars, and they can see 500-600 feet in the dark. So we can see them pretty far away. We'll be able to see through the trees. And with this new video camera that is not an IR camera, it's a what is it called? Low light camera. So it sees IR, but it sees very well in complete darkness. So we're going to put a crap ton of IR on that thing, and we're going to spotlight the hell out of the forest as we're sitting and camping and doing whatever. Joe does have a few trap cams up there, so he's got them already. They're going to be up high in trees, like I said on the last podcast. If you're a Bigfooter, put your trap cams up at least 10 feet in the air. I think Joe puts his up 13, 14 feet in the air because he's got some big boys that walk through there. I mean, he's got at least a 14-footer that has frequented his property. And I'll tell you what, that thing's freaking massive. I've seen it standing behind his blind, and his blind's 6 feet wide. This thing is wider than his blind, and it stands about 10 feet in the air. This thing was at least 4 or 5, maybe even 6 feet taller than that, and basically was standing behind the blind and behind with a tree in front of it, and basically bent the tree down and bent over to look at us. And this happened right as I was pulling up. I didn't even see it until I looked up, and we were looking. We were talking about the path back to the back of his property, and this thing, showed itself, and it's like, oh crap! Look at the size of that guy. But maybe he's the one that left the 23-foot, 23-inch footprint. So this is going to be interesting. We're going to be trying to cast prints if we can find any that are castable. We will be documenting the heck out of all the activity on his land, probably during the day, and then we'll be camping. We're not going to probably do any screams, any tree knocks, or anything like that. We're going to just be real quiet and let them come into us. We'll probably have full spectrum cameras in our hands, and we'll basically just be watching and seeing what they do. We'll probably turn our chairs, put a fire down in front of our camp, and set some chairs out. I'm going to leave a cooler out, and I'm going to leave a few sodas in there, some bottled water, and a few other things out on the table to see if they disappear. I'm going to take a bunch of apples, and I'm going to put them in a pattern. I'll take a picture of them, and then I don't want to film them. I want them to feel free to come and get these things, and they'll be maybe 20 or 30 feet away from our camp, somewhere where they can feel comfortable about coming in and grabbing one or two, if they do or not. There's a lot of other animals up there too. I mean, he's got deer, raccoons, mountain lions. He doesn't have hogs on his side of the on his property. I don't think that they do on this side for some weird reason, but the other side of the property does, and I think that's where they go to hunt. The Bigfoots come through the side of his property down there to go hunt. They cross across that road and stuff like that. So, anyways, this should be interesting. Like I said, I can't say I'm not a little bit nervous to be right in their living room. The reason I'm nervous is, of course, I had that close encounter with that one Bigfoot in Black Star Canyon. And of course, that never did anything to me. It didn't hurt me. It just was trying to scare me out of there, which it did. So I don't blame them for anything that they've done. I'm not mad at them or anything like that. And I do feel safe with them. I don't feel like they're going to try and hurt me in any way, shape, or form. But still, when you have a big, hairy creature that comes out of the woods and doesn't look like you, and even though I've done this for a long time and I've had multiple sightings, it's still a little unnerving to have a creature like that come down to a camp and move around right where, around where you're sleeping at night. Anyways, okay. So that said, we'll come back to you maybe next week and talk to you more about Joe's camp. The video we'll see if we can post the videos of the K2s at the jail, because you guys got to see this. That was insane. And like I was saying before, I've seen that in demonic cases. This is not a demonic case. This is human spirits. There's nothing negative at this location. I've checked and checked again. Been there at all different times of the day. Never had anything, feel like it was threatening or harming in any way. The owners feel the same way. They don't feel threatened or like anything's going to harm them up there. But they do know that jail is extremely haunted. It's extremely haunted. I would imagine if I left the EM pumps on for a couple days, oh my God, the activity up there would have been insane. I mean, I think they would have just done whatever they wanted to do. They wouldn't have cared if any of us really knew what was going on up there. Um, but yeah, they're very quick to communicate with us, and that was awesome. Oops, sorry guys. So yeah. Anyways, we'll get back to you about the jail. We'll get back to you about Joe's camp. And if you guys have any questions, please, if you're on our YouTube channel, please feel free to leave a comment. Please be nice. If you have constructive criticism, that's great. We always take constructive criticism and we listen to it and we try and change whatever people don't like. Or if you do like something and you want us to keep doing it, let us know. We appreciate the comments. Please don't be negative in any way. Please be polite and don't use foul language. So, anyways, if you're on our normal podcast and you want to communicate with us, have a question, feel free to go to our website, deepwoodsparanormal.com. All of our contact information is there. Our email, our phone number, you can call or text me. Just ask, feel free to ask questions. If you have something you want us to talk about, you want us to talk about Dog Man, maybe you want to hear about Ram Man, maybe there's, you want us to talk more about UFOs, whatever it is. Like I said, please feel free to leave a comment, or if you want, just send me a message, go to Facebook and use the messenger there, whatever makes you, feel comfortable. And again, any of the questions people ask, as long as they're polite and whatever else, we'll try and answer. And we never make fun of anyone. We don't ever say anybody's crazy or anything like that. We just want to know what your experiences are and stuff like that. So anyways, guys, I appreciate listening. This is getting a little long, so I'm going to stop this podcast. But thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your comments and questions. Please keep them coming. Again, you can use our Facebook page as well. You can always message me over there, or go on our Deep Woods Paranormal website, or leave a comment on our YouTube channel, or just